guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So just like, subscribe, comment and share. So we are looking into advanced level biology, neurons. So let's get into it. Let's start by the general structure general structure of neurons. So neurons consist of cell body and nerve fibers. In the cell body, there are Neurons granules, which are a group of ribosomes and rough endoplastic endoplasmic reticulum, which are for protein synthesis. As it is a cell body, they also have got nucleus and cell organelles. Now, going on to the nerve fibers, there are those which conduct impulse to cell body and those which conduct impulse away from the cell body. So those which conduct impulse to the cell body, they are called dendroids. And these are relatively small and break up into fine branches called dendroids. And those which conduct impulse away from the cell body, they are called axons. And they also break into many fine branches with swollen ends, which are called synaptic nodes. So from this information, you can have a general way of looking into the nerve structure, like the cell body, right? And then we have the cell body and we have the nerve fiber which conduct nerve from the cell body, and that branches and form swollen ends. And then we have got those that the fiber which conduct impulse to the cell body. So this also further branch into fibers which are called finer fibers which are called dendrites. So we can say this is the nucleus, and we have got the Neurons granules. So this is the dendroid, this is the axon, and these are synaptic node, and these are dendrites. Okay, so this is the general structure we're looking from this given information. So we also got something which is associated with the nervous system, which are called neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters are chemicals which pass through synapse to stimulate the next nerve cell. So we are saying we have a nerve impulse from traveling from the axon to the synaptic node, and then we have a next neuron, which this one is the dendroid. Now these are the dendrites. So we are saying it's the before we go further, this space between is called the synapse. This is the synapse which is being talked about. So let's say this is neuron A and neuron B. We've just drawn the ends of it. So this is the axon from the cell body and the synaptic node, and then the neurotransmitter now is the chemical which joins this part, which this part, because the neurons are not connected. So the chemical, the neurotransmitter, is the one which joins this one. This allow the the impulse to continue to go on to the next neuron, to the next neuron, to the next neuron. So let's go on to the types of nerve cells. So nerve cells are actually, they are also called neurons. They are the ones which you are calling neurons. They can also be called nerve cells. So they are those which are myelinated and those which are non-myelinated. So when we say they are myelinated, it means they are completely surrounded by insulated by Schwann cells. We'll further elaborate that. And these are partially surrounded by Schwann cells. Now, going on to the Schwann cells, we want to look to see what are really Schwann cells. So Schwann cells are cells which crepe, is the cell which crepes itself like a raw carpet surrounding around the nerve fiber. So this is the Schwann cell. Looking at this diagram, this is the axon, and this is the Schwann cell. So this is the Schwann cell. So the Schwann cell creates its membrane around the axon. So this creping of the membrane is called the myelin sheath. So the myelin sheath, this is the membrane, the membrane which will be surrounding the axon, the surrounding the axon. And here we have got the nucleus of the Schwann cell. And we also have the the cytoplasm which will be inside, and it's given a special name called neurulema. So this is our Schwann cell. So given from our structure of the nervous system, this Schwann cell surrounds the axon, or the dendron, as it is displayed in the diagram. For example, the dendroid will be at the center like the axon there, and then we have the myelin sheath, the membranes which will be surrounding that axon or dendroid, and then we got the ending of that cell, which is the where we got the cytoplasm, which is the neural lemma, and then we have the nucleus of the Schwann cell. Yeah, so this is a cross section of it. So there are some diseases which are associated with this Schwann cell. Some diseases associated with this Schwann cell. We have got multiple sclerosis and Tay Sachs disease. These all are involved with the destruction of the myelin sheath. So the myelin sheath is very, very important. Basically, you can say the Schwann cells are quite very important in some of the the neurons. Now, now we have talked about the myelinated and the non-myelinated. As you can see from this diagram of this neuron, these are the myelinated, and this one is not myelinated. Now, this we further divide these neurons by those which conduct impulse to the nervous system, and those which conduct impulse in the nervous system, and those which conduct impulse to the effector. So this is the sense organ or cell. This is the central nervous system. This central nervous system. And then we've got the effector. We've got the effector. So as we have demonstrated from the previous from the introduction or the introduction lecture, we said impulse is conducted from there is a stimuli, and the sense organs senses the the impulse, which are the receptors, the sense organs, and then they pass this. The receptors actually convert the impulse, the stimuli, into the impulse, nerve impulse, and that nerve impulse is conducted from the sense organ to the central nervous system. So this is the this is the neuron which does that, and it's called a sensory neuron, or we can call it afferent neuron, right? So we want to look deeper into this uh, neuron, so that we can really understand. So this is the cell body from our general structure. This is the cell body, and in the cell body we say we got news, nissus, granule, and we also have got the organelles. Okay, let's see, just say maybe we got a mitochondria here. So this is the cell body, and then this is the neural. This is this part is the one which conduct impulse to the cell body. So we call that a dendron. Sorry. And then this part conduct impulse from the cell body to the central nervous system, and we call this part the axon. And we said the dendrons further divide into finer branches, which are called dendrites. And then we also said that axon also further divide into finer branches with a swollen end, and we call those synaptic knobs. Right, so we want to really look deeper into the cell. So we have got these which are shown this. So these are Schwann cells, those which we have talked about just previously. These are Schwann cell. So this is the nucleus of the Schwann cell. And then we call this the neurolemma. No, this one is the myelinated sheath. This is a different way of weighing it now. Like, it's a side view of a neuron which has been cut aside by maybe in half. And then we have got after the myelin sheath, we now have the neurolemma. Now it does some, like, it's outside on the membrane because it's on the edge. This is the neurolemma. So this is our cell. Also, there is the where these Schwann cells join over here, where two Schwann cells join. This is called the node of Ranvier. So this is our sensory neuron. So going on further in the central nervous system, as you can see, our connection is going this way from the sensory neuron to the effectors. So in the central nervous system now, we have got a type of neurons. They are called interneuron neurons, or we can say association neurons, or we can say they are called internuncial internuncial neurons, or we can call them relay neurons. They're the ones which are found in the nervous system. So as we have said, the 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 fibers which conduct impulse to the cell body, we said they are called dendroids. Dendroid. So this is the dendroid. These fibers, which further divide the dendroid, we call them the dendrites. And this is the nucleus of the cell body, and this is the cell body. And then we have got the axon, and then it's further divides, and we got the syno synaptic synaptic knobs. So this we also have got the new Nissus granules inside here. Yeah, as we can see, there are no myelin, there are no Schwann cells in the central nervous system, and so there are no Schwann cells in the relay neurons. The relay neurons. So we go on to those. As if you really look into the names, relay neuron, sensory neuron, you can see sensory neuron from the senses. Relay neuron is relay the senses into the what are called now motor neurons. These are called motor neurons, or we can call them if effector neuron or efferent neuron. Right, so let's look deep into it for the one last time. They're just neurons, so it's basically the same, but you can see the position of the cell bodies. Okay, let's first label this one, then we can comment on that, the difference. So we got news, nisu, granules. We have got dendrites. We have got cell body nucleus. We have got the Schwann cell, and in the Schwann cell we say we've got the myelin, myelin sheath. We also have got the neurolemma, and so this one is now, since this one is the cell body, the axon is this one, axon, and then we have the synaptic knobs to the effector, right? And also the node of Ransbier. Nodes of Ransbier. And then we, as I was saying, if you look at the sensory neuron, just looking at some differences, the sensory neuron and some different and similarities. In the sensory neuron, we got the cell body, at the center, and also within the relay neuron, we got the cell body at the center, but at the motor neuron, yes, it's at the center in the fact that there are dendroids and axon at the other side, but the body is very close to the dendrites in this case, so it's more like it's on one side. And then also we see that the motor neurons in the central neuron, they are myelinated, they got Schwann cells, but the the relay neuron does any of the Schwann cells. Yeah. So and then so the effector we have talked about it. These are, for example, muscles in the sensory neuron. Sensory cells, we can say maybe the skin. Yeah. So this is our types of neurons, and these are the neurons and general structure and the types. Yeah. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.